This is Uyu, or if you want to translate it to English, you can call her Milk. Now, we've had Milk for about 4 years now, and she's got a very fun and energetic personality, as well as a pretty feisty side as well. Now, I first became a dog owner when Hill brought in Milk after we got married. I never owned a dog before, and it was quite an adjustment getting used to having a pet in the house, seeing that you have a lot of responsibility with it. But eventually I got used to it, and I'm going to share some tips and information about raising dogs in Korea. For starters, if you want to look at Korea's quick rise in terms of wealth and economy, as it has risen, you've seen more people decide to get a pet. And a big chunk of this has been dog ownership. This happens all over the world, as people have more income to spend, more free time, then they want to spend it on things they enjoy. So as dog ownership has increased, you've seen a kind of big gap between people. So in my general observation, I've seen that older people still generally think of dogs as animals, just animals. So they don't think of them as part of the family. They should be outside, and protect, things like that. With younger people, generally, they think of them as part of the family, and they spoil them, they buy them toys, all sorts of stuff like that. Now, of course, this is just my general observation. Not everyone is exactly like that. Now, raising a dog in Korea is pretty much like most places across the world, but there are some small differences. So you want to consider that most people live in apartments in Korea, mainly because of cost and space. So if you wanted an actual house with a yard, it would be very expensive. So that's why most people live in villas or apartments. So if you are considering getting a dog, then you want to consider that. Mainly because if you're working, your dog is going to be cooped up in an apartment all day. So you can't, let her out into the yard or anything like that. So it's imperative that you walk your dog, of course. So make sure you have time for that. Now, walking brings me to the second point, which is consider your neighborhood. So if you live in an older neighborhood like we do, then one of the big problems you might encounter is that if you're trying to take your dog for a walk, there are no sidewalks. So it's very annoying to have to walk your dog, but constantly look back and forth for cars and scooters and bikes coming, down the street. So eventually for us, there was a park about 10 to 15 minutes away from our house. So I thought it was better to just walk there and then, give Milk a walk there, just because it was more comfortable. I didn't have to watch my back every 10 seconds for a car. So make sure you at least have a park nearby so you can walk your dog. Now, if you live in a newer place, a newer neighborhood, or a newer apartment complex, then you are likely to have enough space, enough sidewalks to walk your dog comfortably. Especially in the newer apartment complexes, they have these big areas right in the middle of them. It's almost like a big park. And it's very peaceful, very easy to walk your dog there. So, if you can afford it and you have the money, then a newer place is definitely the way to go in that situation. Now, going back to the apartment point, there are two things you want to consider, which is make sure that your landlord or the person who owns the building allows dogs, because if they don't and then they find out later, it could cause big problems. The other thing is to make sure to train your dog. So, if you have a dog that is barking all the time, it is very annoying and it could cause problems as well. And with training, that's going to be our next point. Now, as I just said before, training is very important. I've generally found that training here in Korea has gotten much better. When the first, dog craze wave started happening, I saw a lot of untrained dogs, dogs just off leash, running everywhere. You had a lot of incidents where some dogs were biting people. mainly because people didn't understand the responsibility that came with owning a dog. Not only do you have to walk it, feed it, clean up after it, you also have to train it just to be respectful of others around you. So as those incidents started happening, you saw many people, understand that they need to train their dog. So you've seen TV shows, you've seen brochures, businesses pop up with people offering to help train people's dogs. And I thought that was, great. Now for us, we also had to train Uyu. And of course I went on YouTube to find a lot of tips and techniques. And some of them involve, little devices or tools. And they were actually a bit quite hard to find in Korea. So I had to order either from Amazon or Coupon, which was not that difficult, but it was still, inconvenient because, back home where I'm from, there's, PetSmart, Petco, where you can go to this big department store of dog supplies and you can find everything you need. I really haven't seen that here in Korea, mainly just small pet shops. I think I've seen one big pet shop in our city, but it's still not as big as what I'm used to. So that could be an issue, but not everyone needs tools to train. So you could just do, with treats or whatever method that you find online. Now, to piggyback off what I said earlier about the incidents involving some dog owners and the general public, because of those incidents, you've had a lot of new laws being made related to dog ownership. So certain breeds, maybe aggressive breeds, have strict laws for them. And also, you have to have your dog on a leash most times. However, a lot of people don't follow this. This goes back to my earlier point. 9 times out of 10, if I've seen a dog off leash, it's usually an older person. And it's just that mindset where, they believe the dog should be free, but they don't exactly understand that it affects other people. I've had a few incidents where, I was walking our dog and, a dog off leash, a pretty big dog came, and I had to kind of fight off because the dog was a little aggressive. So it honestly pissed me off. You're supposed to be able to report people who have their dog off leash, but it's very difficult to do and it's very difficult to enforce. So, yeah. So, what about things like health and going to the vet? Generally for us, we've had no bad experiences or issues with any of the vets that we've been to. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people may have come across a bad vet, but for us, we haven't. So we've been going to the same one for about 3 years now. Now, if you're looking for a vet in your neighborhood, you're very likely to find one. They're pretty much all over the place. And just read the reviews and see which one you might want to go to and see if you can get any recommendations if your friends have pets in your city. Now, for our dog, Milk, she has seizures, so she needs to take medicine twice a day and go to the vet once a month just to check on them. Now, we don't know what causes the seizures, but she does have a bit of anxiety and she's a bit reactive to other dogs, which we have been working on training, but it's still there. So we have a feeling that that may be part of it, but no one knows. Seems to be a pretty common problem among a lot of dogs. So the only thing we can do is just give her the medicine and, keep them at bay in that way. And that's it. So in conclusion, if you are considering getting a dog in Korea, just make sure that you have the time and resources to get one. With a lot of people coming over here and not staying long term, I've seen way too many situations with people getting dogs and then they leave Korea in 1 or 2 years and they don't want to take the dog back home, so they just give the dog away, and it's pretty sad. So just make sure you're going to be here either long term or make sure that you can get the dog back to your home country. So yeah, if you feel like I've missed anything, just let me know in the comments below and I will see you in the next video. All right, peace.